Right. So,
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm thinking, is like a 2 or 3 minute kind of historical overview? Does that work for people?
yeah,
And who would like to give that?
I'm happy to do that unless someone else feels inspiration.
You're the catalyst, so let us know why
Go
Um,
this
for it.
came about.
yeah,
Go
I
for it.
mean, it's
I'm putting 3 minutes on for you as a
yeah. All right, good. Put 3 minutes on. Thank you. Yeah, Jonas, I think it's funny that you're coming here and you're saying, "Oh, I'm here to see kind of like what this is all about." And I think that's a big idea of the meeting today is for us to collectively decide what is this all about. Um, I think that as far as the history of it and going back to the beginning, it was just having this idea, holding this idea, there's an idea coming through basically for how can, we collaborate rather than compete against each other, that like that, especially, sort of independent contractors, freelancers, small businesses, entities that are siloed apart, um, you know, tend to, that system where they're siloed apart, where we're all always competing against each other systemically. Um, that's going to tend to continue the status quo. And so, what's a way to then shift that status quo? It's to come together, it's to collaborate. And so, this idea came in, and I don't think and it's not my idea. And as I've gone along, I've proven that to myself over and over again, just, with other groups and talking to people, that it's just an idea that we're all holding, for how can we work together in a different way. And the history, it just started with myself as an independent contractor and as a person who was working and helping helpers, healers, and visionaries, people who were doing amazing work but just couldn't even like make enough to support themselves, to make a living. Um, right. And so the only answer that ever came in that seemed like it was workable was collaboration, was joining together as a group. And so yeah, and so this is just come from that, and it's really just to me it's been a joining together of people around this idea, and how we can facilitate this, right? So how and so that's that kind of turned into bringing in the history piece, that turned into the idea of like having an agency, where we could collectively earn money, and then so that has been cultivated and developed, and then kind of pulled back from there and cultivated and developed the what we have been doing now is really like this base and the value bank idea. This So how can we take the resources that we all have, de-silo them, and put them together in a way that's going to synergize them. So I don't know, like that's the tangible history is that I'm going to finish up on the sentence. The tangible history is really that, it's just more people have been joining in, and we have been very slowly but surely cultivating this thing that we're trying to co-create, and doing it in a way that's maybe slower than my ambition, but it feels very in alignment as far as like how to actually do that. There you go.
great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Rob,
You're welcome.
for all of it, for the inception and the 3 minute summary. Um, okay. So I really appreciate starting a meeting with even 1 minute of meditation, presence, whatever that means for people. Um, and if meditation is unfamiliar to you, simple practice is to count the breath, like inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 4 counts is a really simple way to bring yourself into that experience. Some people like to just sense their seat, sense their feet on the ground. So let's do that. Let's do whatever that means. Sometimes I move. Sometimes I'm like meditating, but I'm doing this. So let's give us all a nice, luxurious 1 minute arrival. Let's start that now. And on your next breath, as you're ready, let's come back into our group space. I write these agendas and then I forget the sequencing of what I thought I was going to do. All right, so meditation, 3-minute overview, we did that. So I had drafted these kind of visioning prompts a few weeks ago, and maybe they were useful for people. Maybe your creative reflection went in other directions. That's all really great. I just realized that there's also a thread to Zoe's social media Skillshare from a few weeks ago here where she generated, or somehow we had this idea of a sort of Mad Libs fill in the blank rubric for each of our own businesses. Like, I am a editor who helps people with their X problem and na. I was like, wow, we're kind of working with this with HSC now. HSC is a blank that does blank, that has a vision of blank, whose values are blah. So that was a nice little like tying things together back to that in my mind also. And maybe you all are seeing the prompts. I just thought I'd say them out. So some of what we're doing is visioning. I want to see HSC be blah, blah, blah. Mission crafting. I want the mission of HSC to be personal desires, kind of say what I want to get out of it. That's a kind of like taking value way of framing it. It's like what I want to get out of it. What do I want to experience also as a member? What do I want to give as a member? And what direction do I want to face with folks in HSC? I've heard this model in terms of relationship, like with our partners, we kind of want to be facing in the same directions in certain ways. And as a group of people, where do we want it? Where are we looking towards? What are we walking towards together? So I'm just curious, like, have folks had time to reflect on that a little bit, journal on that? I don't know, show of hands, shake your head. Yeah, I've got my thumbs up. So some people, yes, some people not so much. We could decide that we set ourselves some minutes now to do that, or to do it a little more. Any thoughts on that? That would I would give everybody a chance to
But I
reflect.
did hear, prompts. So if maybe I should have a go at your prompts.
Okay, great. Does 5 minutes feel like a good time frame? Just whatever that reflection journaling means to you. And then we'll come into like a sharing of those. So we get to hear everybody. Okay, great. And if anybody didn't catch it, the link to the shared document is in the chat. Great. See you all soon.
Wait,
Have fun.
I don't see it in the chat.
Oh, you know what? It was in the chat before you joined. Okay, so I forgot that that happens. Hang on a second. Now it's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you,
for
Saya.
asking, Basil. Yeah, good catch. I forgot that Zoom does that. All right, so yeah, let's take our 5 minutes and yeah, just yeah, have fun with it. Great.
Prompt it up.
Yeah. I'm adding Zoe's fill in the blank statement underneath the prompts. In case anybody wants to like use that language of like fill in the blank idea too. All right, ding, ding, ding. That is our 5 minutes. So do your best to wrap up where you're at with your thoughts. And yeah, I don't know. It's a good indication that we're ready for sharing in some way. Doop 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 doop. All right. So so I have a few ideas about how sharing can go. We have 7 people on the call, and one possibility is that we could each share for like 4 or 5 minutes. Go ahead, Basil.
Oh, I thought like 1 minute, but that's fine.
5 minutes.
1 minute goes so fast.
True.
That would be an amazing, rich reduction. But I think we have the time, and we have 7 people. So we could do, say, 4 minutes. And I'd love to see each person receive a reflection after their share. And one way to do that is after each person's share, one other person could respond with an appreciation of what they heard and a question that arose for them in what they heard. Now, concurrent with that, hopefully someone will be taking notes about the share. I generally can't take notes when I'm holding space, so I will love if others can take notes. Also, those of us who have been writing digitally about our prompts could copy paste it into the shared doc. That's really awesome if that works for you.
Great.
Is that sounding cool for everybody? Awesome. Awesome. So the one thing I didn't figure out is how do we figure out who's reflecting to each person? It could just be random.
Yeah, we got only 7 folk here, so
Yeah, so
pretty
let's just
random,
do that.
probably
So
okay.
just as you're listening, just know that you may be on deck to offer that person a reflection or a question that arose. And if you note a question and a reflection for everybody, just do it in writing.
Mm.
And one of them you'll do verbally. Yeah.
Perfect. It's great.
That's awesome. Okay, great. Thanks, Peeps.
Yeah.
Cool. Is anybody psyched to start?
I can start. Yeah.
Thanks, Newman.
Yeah. And what I'll do is because I did take notes. I guess I can just copy this in. I'll copy this in and then read through them.
Sure.
I'll just do that. Let's see what this. I'm taking notes in an Obsidian, so that's kind of. I think I can make sense of that. Okay, so do you start the timer, or is my time already started?
You're on.
Okay, here we go. What I want to see HSC be. So immediately I wrote down whole, sustaining, happy, valuable, something I look forward to, a place to learn and a place to teach, growth. And then actually in this last round, I wrote down complete, but not finished. And it's a concept of that there is completeness and wholeness. And I wrote that down. That was my first word, was whole. That like a seed. Seed is a whole thing, and a seedling is a whole thing, but it's not a giant tree. but it's not a seed anymore. So there's this idea of it's complete even as it grows. It's not like, oh, we won't be complete. We'll only be complete when we get to this point. It's this beautiful metaphor, complete but not finished. A place of practice, a place of opportunity. I want the mission for HSC to be, I came up with like supporting, and then I found that quote of we who, not you, but we who are here. You know, that idea of support, healers, helpers, healers, and visionaries is something that I really resonated with. And what do I want to experience as a member? It seems like that's one that, because that's like a personal thing, and I jumped into that one. I really like helping new members. I want to operate the machinery of HSC. I want to play the game, like these rules or guidelines, and like how, what we set out and like what our objectives are. I also go meta, meaning to think about, not just play the game, but then also do the governance, like what are the rules and guidelines, and to reflect on how the game is played and to do governance. Governance is like, we have the opportunity to like set up our governance and stuff. Oh, I don't know about my time is just give me a moment
Yeah, you have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay, good. Here, I'll set this timer. So yeah, this idea of governance, and then sort of the idea of getting needs met. So I want my needs met, like come in, you're getting needs met. It's sort of like a driver. To be supported is really nice. Like that's one of the things that really exists here for me. I don't want to feel obligated or resentful. I want to be able to give freely, but I guess also take freely and not have that like icky feeling, that we're like leaning too much on leadership or freeloading or that others are freeloading on us. Like I want to like, I think, can we factor that out and group, collective action? I want to feel like I'm cool. Like that's like a real need of mine, like feeling like I'm at the cool kids table and I put down like the Fonz or Snoopy or some relevant, appropriate celebrity. And then this is a big one, like facing the wicked problems of the day, to shift the status quo, which Rob really talked about in our history, finding those systemic problems and addressing them in an appropriate way. But then also less dire, like less doom problems, like fixing up a website or doing a social media plan, doing self-care, like fundamental life skills for digital people. People that are working on Zoom, people that are interacting with social media and doing this type of work. Yeah, and then finishing up, like experimentation. Like I really like the idea of trying new things, and this is a place that you can do all those things. So that was my bit of my share. Oh, thanks.
Awesome.
And I'd be glad to get any kind of feedback. Like did anything land particularly with anyone?
So it'd be great if like one person could offer Newman some, resonance, appreciations, question, not a question to be answered right now, right? More of, yeah. Okay, I'll dive in. Yeah. So I really appreciate the whole thing, Newman, and I love this orientation about like what I'm hearing is how you want to feel as a part of this, right? Like both sides of that, how you want to feel excited, inspired, like it's fun, like it's cool, and that you want to be able to join the exchange without resentments and that icky feeling, like really, really hearing that, appreciating that. Awesome. And yeah, thank you. And a question that comes to mind for me, and I often will orient from this like feelings sort of like embodiment space, is like, what are the nuts and bolts that support that? So that's where I go.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful.
great. Okay, so next share.
Maybe Zoe.
Thanks for that, Newman. Thanks for sharing that, Newman.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. I wrote a lot of notes, so I'm just scrolling to the top. Here we go. I do like your prompts, Sia. Maybe they'll help me be more concise with my visioning. So let's start there, maybe. Okay.
And I
Do
can
the
set the
Mad
timer.
Libs. Oh,
Which-
sure. How
How many minutes for?
Okay. 4 minutes.
All right,
Cool. I could do that.
here we go.
So I use the Mad Lib. HSC is a Skillshare and freelancer support group. I feel like we've really nailed Skillshares and freelancer support. And that's like Newman's whole seed. I appreciated that concept. And I feel like, yeah, we've achieved Skillshare group and freelancer support group. And we can grow from there too. But for the meantime, we offer Skillshares and freelancer support through all of our surplus time and skills and energy that we have written on our offerings. And we offer it to freelancers or whoever's interested in becoming a freelancer online. But I'm sure we're open to people who are not freelancers as well, who just want to be in on a community that is forward thinking. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ditch the Mad Libs. I'm gonna okay. So I feel like we've really achieved Skillshare, reliable Skillshares, and freelancer support. But I know that there is room to grow. So I think an easy way forward to grow what we're currently doing and what we could new projects on top of that could be maybe monthly deposits, which we've been talking about for a while, which could help fund some of the platform subscriptions that Rob's currently paying for alone. Maybe we could examine those at some point. That's what I envision happening at some point soon. As well as maybe creating a pool, a fund for hiring expert skill sharers if we all decide, yes, we really want to learn about X, whether it be meta ads or something like that. We want to get an expert in here. So maybe our deposits could go toward that. And then I wonder, thinking of governance and democracy and all of these concepts, egalitarianism, are we going to vote on where our deposits go? Who knows? Like participatory budgeting, something to think about. I wouldn't be surprised if we chose to do that. Okay. And then another way we could grow, which I do envision happening, is better or more frequently using the Coordinate or Haifa and getting the tokenization on. As always, I say this is not my area of expertise. It's not the original reason I joined the community either, but I am interested in seeing what's possible. Oh, I'm gonna kind of shift into Sia's prompts now. Sorry. Too many prompts. They're all so good.
Oh, about 30 seconds left. So-
Okay, I'll make it fast. HSC currently is what I want it to be. Skillshares and freelancer support. I'm happy. But if it becomes a tokenization experimentation place, I'm really interested to see how that works out and how it'll work out too. And then there is my like, super secret, what I would dream of it being, but maybe we don't have to talk about that today. Ding! That's it.
Oh no!
Oh, she left us on a cliffhanger.
Wow.
What?
I didn't know it
Oh,
was a secret.
man. Oh, wow.
Well, that leads to an obvious question then for whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the obvious
I
question.
ran out of time, you guys.
Oh.
This
That's
is
good.
why Zoe is a social media expert, because
Yes.
she's the queen of the hook.
You just put this
Oh
in.
my god.
Oh, man. Mhm.
I could just send it. I'll send it on the chat if you want to read it. I don't know. But maybe we
Definitely.
should just move on. It's not, it might be out of the scope of today's conversation.
No,
As-
as a facilitator, I give you 30 seconds to
Oh my
tell us.
god, 30? Okay. Okay, here we go. That's okay. So as some of you know, and Rob knows already, I come from a Marxist background, right? And I spent the past decade with the social movements in Korea. Now I'm in Brazil and I'm learning about social movements here. So I think about global capitalism and imperialism a lot. And I think this is a very interesting time in history where US hegemony is being threatened a bit, like BRICS is rising, coalitions between other countries, and it's just an interesting time. So I would love, study groups and discussions about that sort of stuff. Because I think I've always wanted to live in America, but for some reason, I'm never living in America as an adult. I never chose. Okay, that's it. Sorry. You guys live in the Imperial Core. It's very interesting.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. The very
Yeah.
center of it in New York City, coming from
Yeah.
San Francisco, right into New York.
Exactly.
It's like, whoa.
Wait, what is
Yeah.
that? From the the Hunger Games, where what is it, Sector 1 or Section 1 or what is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of people want to give Zoe some reflections. So, who would like to do that reflection and question piece? Appreciation. Yeah.
Basil or Kim, I'll give you the option or I'll take it.
Yeah, go for it. Or unless Basil, yeah.
Okay. I really resonated with your secret social movements, because I feel like you are an expert in this, and it's always good to hear about things that are that maybe have like some oh geez, what is it called? Like loadedness. Like if you say socialist or a communist or a Marxist in a certain, it's a triggering thing. So to get it from a friend that you established, it's just like, no, we'll get the straight dope and not the thing. So I appreciated that. And it is going to be an election year, so we can take this sort of trust circle that we've got. But then I like the other things that you mentioned, like pooling the funds, because basically, set a timer for me, because I can also I'm going to save 1 more minute. Pooling funds, like monthly deposits, even if it's a nominal fee, it's something that we can use our governance to manage, managing a thing. And then yeah, that would help us participatory budgeting, and that could be another thing that you mentioned, something to get an expert that's outside of our circle to say, hey, would you come and talk to us about participatory budgeting? And so there's a lot of cool things that you said in there, really wonderful. I appreciate your insight into these topics. You've been here, you were here when I got here, and all the things that you do. are really great. And yeah, lots of things in there that I appreciate.
So
So really
fun.
thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Zoe, you wanna pass the baton?
Ooh, Jonas.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jonas just got here.
that's okay. I was thinking that like in many organizations it might be good to hear a really fresh, shape molded response before it's too late. I
One
don't
of
know.
you do that cool digital timer. I don't know how you're doing that. Can somebody do the timer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me do it. Yeah.
Newman, I think you can.
Newman's a pro at
Newman's
it.
yeah, like the best at it. He
I
competes
can do it.
nationally.
I made it to
Yes,
regionals this year. It's great. Okay, so 4 minutes. Here we go.
yeah. So for me, yeah, as I said, I'm new and I don't know yet exactly what this is, but from just a little bit that I've saw and heard from now, basically a support platform that that helps us and me as the one who's sharing his needs and wants right now to just find his ikigai, the work that is really in my wheelhouse, that I love to do and where I can really contribute and meaningfully improve the world, the systems. I totally resonate with Zoe's maybe Marxist tendencies, or I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure what I can call it Marxist, but I definitely I see this great need for a better system and being more social, more collaborative. And this group just helping to achieve everyone a little bit of that, or like helping to get into that more. And yeah, I don't know how far that can go. So I see it more as the help for individuals, like that whole freelance and support network, finding aligned projects, maybe sharing projects with each other, creating connections, possibly also some monetary support then, like if we have some participatory budgeting. Amazing that you you got to say that word so fast. Anyway, yeah, all this definitely resonates. I'm just not sure yet right now how much of that can be achieved, but that's definitely the direction. I'll just have to glance over my notes where I actually wrote some things down that I didn't mention.
And
I
a
think
minute and 15 left.
Yeah, I don't think that I need to say much more. So I'd rather leave some more space for others then. So yeah, if anyone wants to come with question, maybe I can then reply to that one a little bit more.
Perfect.
Thank you. Is it would we pronounce your name Jonas or Jonas? What's the preferred?
It's both is perfectly fine. I'm so used to both. Jonas is the German way. Jonas
Got
is
it.
the English way, and I'm living here in English-speaking country for so long. So.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I can reflect and ask a question unless anybody else wanted to jump in on that. Excuse me. Yeah, I think the reflection is at least reflection from what I'm hearing is that what you're interested in or what you're envisioning, is a way to yeah, is a way to kind of collectively, help each other be, so be supported, like, in financial ways, but also in other ways. And how to make that happen, like to discover and kind of co-discover how to make that, materialize, in the world that, it isn't necessarily operating in a collaborative model. And so, yeah, so that's what I'm kind of hearing, is like the individual support.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether maybe I still had about 1 minute left. Maybe I can quickly share my last just
Yeah.
from me, where I'm coming from is I have my game A. I assume you are familiar with game A, game B. I had my game A job, still have that, and I really, really feel the need to go to something more game B. But I'm really, really struggling in the last few months, especially, but already a few years ago, to find something that sustains me in the games B space. There are so many projects. I'm going to go to Germany in a few months, and then for half a year, I'm volunteering for like 4 or 5 projects that I find really amazing. None of them have any money. They should have theoretically millions of dollars because they are such important projects. And it's just it in some way it freaks me out that the system is as it is, and that we just it's so hard to do good and to still make a living. Like it's not about money. It's about I want to just be able to live. And yeah, so the very feet on the ground need for right now is having something that generates income. And yeah, I in the beginning, I guess I would hope that HSC is a little bit something that helps with finding that. But then the further we progress along, maybe the more we can get away from just basically a job finding thing to really much more this holistic endeavor of I don't know how we are going to have tokens and value systems and communities that support us in a few years, but yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
sharing.
No,
It's
I
really
really, I appreciate that. It helped me sort of like crystallize like what my reflection is, like from what you're saying, I feel like my reflection is basically you're envisioning a group that can help each person like achieve their ikigai. So how can we all collectively help each other, come more and more into and achieve our ikigais, right? And as part of the 1/4 of that ikigai, right, is something I can get paid for, right? Which means how do I, like there's all the other stuff, but part of that is making a living. So yeah, that's my reflection. And that I like that reflection, and coming from what you're saying, it's very cool. Yeah, and the question for me, right, then is the question really that I heard from you, which is like, it's not only like how can we make it happen, but like, can it happen? Which I think is a good question, and that's a hard, that's a hard one for me. I mean, I have such, kind of optimism, right, that it can happen, but there also, is this place that I think is reasonable, to ask as we go along, and it's like, can, can this happen and at what level? Because it's a big machine, we're sort of pushing up against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you all. We are planting seeds for so much.
And
Great.
I guess I'd pass the ball to maybe Kimberly.
Okay.
I know Basil and Rob already a little bit, and others have talked already.
Thank you. Appreciate that you're here, and we're willing to share. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, I lost my connection to things in the middle of all of this. So I'm just sitting here listening and thinking that I just really like being in this space with you all. So that's just my primary motivation to be here. Like minds, and I want to collaborate more. I would love to be able to do more things together, create more, whether it's discussions and or whether it's something that's a project that actually brings in some money. Would love to be able to do that. Would love to bring you all into something. The support is extremely important, and the camaraderie, or the comrades. We're comrades, right? But I think that in the last thought that I was having as Jonas was speaking is, and then someone else who had mentioned experimentation, is that I would love to see this DAO go from experimentation to an example, so that this is a DAO that really works, that we've done it, that we are successful in doing it and can show everybody how it's done. So that's really it. I don't have a lot of great big visions and expectations. I just like being here, and want us all to continue being here. Okay, now what happens? Reflection?
Yeah, someone who hasn't yet offered a reflection could offer Kimberly a reflection.
I can. I just think so much of that resonated with me, like just being here with you guys, and like I've said it a few weeks ago, just hearing the things you say brings me so much joy. How you string words together, like it might seem little to you guys, but it means so much to me. And like I said in my share, just like what it is now is so meaningful to me and has changed my life and is beautiful. And then like Kim said, but if we're gonna dream bigger than the seed, sure, like seeing a DAO become an go from experiment to example, I think that's very cool. And also, like Kim said, I don't know what's possible. I think Jonas expressed some of that too. Like, I don't know if it's possible, but we're all here and happy with what it is now. So that gives us a lot of room to just try and see. So yeah, I'm hopeful because of the seed we have. And I love, yeah, what Kim said really resonated with me. I don't have a question for you. I just, yeah.
Awesome. Great. Cool. So there's just a few of us who haven't shared yet. Anybody feeling it?
I'll get it over with. That's fine. All right. So where was my notes? Newman, Zoe.
If I just possibly might have to jump out in a few minutes or so. So
Okay.
continue if I'm disappearing. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. So here is so Visioning HSC, a collection of professional and student multidisciplinary healers and helpers to serve organizations and people in need. Mission crafting To create a healthy space for the talent to fulfill their purpose in the global community. One, and then two, to provide holistic as well as a la carte services via our ecosystem of providers for entrepreneurs, companies, DAOs, nonprofits, and foundations to streamline, optimize, and otherwise improve their performance and or harmony with their efforts. What I desire HSC to be a way to find fulfilling work, a way to gain both fiat and non-fiat compensation, credits, resources, mental health and support services tuned for creatives, developers in the co-op DAO. What directions do I want to face? I didn't know how to answer that, but I just put to say, reflecting on adding to what Kim said about like making an example, to utilize our existing DAO tools for keeping an immutable accounting of most or all, most of the value inputs and outputs of both cash token inputs, like example for, helping to cover SaaS cost or general. I mean, Rob has been doing it for a while. He should probably put that in as a contribution for co-op tokens. And then also for time service inputs, which is extremely valuable to be able to like register that stuff in the DAO so that people can gather those co-op tokens as well. For me, that's like step one. And then, later, we can start to like create redemption value for the tokens we gather. But, in the beginning of a startup, we just need to be able to capture everything, capture all the inputs in an immutable way that we can all see. So that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Basil.
Thank you, Basil.
Yeah, cool. Anybody have reflections, resonance, appreciations, or questions for Basil?
Well, I'll chime in here a minute since he's the one that brought me into all of this. And I just really appreciate the way that he thinks about it and all of these ideas and concepts that he brought in, that he brings to every space and every place. And his creativity. So yeah, I just pretty much agree with I could echo everything that everybody has said and including Basil. So that's all really, as I had to reflect. So there you go.
Thank you. Awesome. Great.
Thanks. Any question, Kim?
Yeah, Basil, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this an example out of an experiment? How are we going to go from experimentation to example?
Well, we kind of started I finally like got Zoe to like put a contribution in like a couple weeks ago. We haven't run Saya through it yet, but we'll do that. But yeah, we have the tools, and it is new for people. We just need to kind of start to practice it and make it easy for all of us, because that's how we create the model. So that we can see like the tangible reality of all of the inputs. Like, wow, people are putting in their time and their money into this sort of, HSC co-op or, holistic systems co-op. Yeah. So you've been through it. You've been through the beginning with Haifa, through the prototyping. So you know how it used to be difficult. It's gotten, a bit easier now. And Jonas, he also wants to try to make it even easier, on the development side, as we go forward. But for now, we just have to kind of work with what we've got and then set ourselves up as the co-op, as a co-op that can help all of the other DAOs figure it out, so that all of the DAOs that want to be DAOs can come to HSC for skill shares and so that we can really teach people how to work in this new Web3 world where where we all are owners of it. We're all owners of our work, you know, and our collaborative work. We all get a piece of the pie. It's a new
Cool.
world. Yep.
Thanks, Basil. It's really nice to
Thank you.
hear like such clear, it helps to simplify to hear you articulate like that we just take one example at a time and start using it. Very cool. Thank you. Cool. All right, Rob, you, me?
I'll go. Yeah.
Here we go.
All right. I'll put my notes in the, let's see, some of my notes. I do want to say in our notes, I think that there's, I had the the idea that like in like Saya's notes or Newman's notes meant that that was like all what Newman was saying, and I think that there's another.
Oh,
Another way of thinking about the notes where it's that like Newman's notes means these are the notes that he's making for other people. So, you know, nothing right or wrong, but I just want to like make a note of that, you know, to folks. So that way, you know, it's if anyone's
Oh, yeah.
confused. Okay, so all right, has my time started? All right, I better go.
Here we go.
So like the vision, you know, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about it. I've been also working, you know, in this, I'll drop the link in the chat, you know, in this sort of DAO OS, you know, this operating system canvas, which is, you know, basically just a model for, you know, organizational creation. So been writing on this, and so, you know, like working on it, and basically, you know, like, okay, you start with the purpose and then the governance, you know, and then the structure. I think it's good. I mean, I think it's a nice model. So you know, so I've really been, you know, thinking in this way for, you know, first and foremost of purpose. And, you know, when I was thinking about, so you know, as I'm going along, I kind of like wrote out, I'm like, oh, okay, like this could be the purpose. So so this is just sort of like my idea of like, if I had to write, you know, what's the purpose? What's the vision? What's the mission? You know, right now, like this is what I would write. You know, so these are just kind of like my thoughts or ideas. So, you know, purpose, and actually it was great. I was thinking a lot about the purpose, because, you know, like whether you're talking about, like I wrote in this thing, whether you're talking about like the value bank or the agency or the whatever, to me, for me, the purpose still comes back to like, how do we support each other in making a livelihood, you know, where we can do that and at the same time stay aligned with our values, you know, actualize and refine our gifts and abilities, and directly, you know, cultivate like the world that we want to see. So how can I make a reasonable livelihood? You know, so the purpose is to like help each other. And in this case, like starting with a particular, you know, group of people. So how, you know, how to help independent contractors, freelancers, entrepreneurs support themselves, you know, in a way that we can continue to be a lot aligned with our vision. And to me, that's it, you know, and that's kind of the hard part. That's been the hard part for me, is like, oh, I want to do all these things. It's like Jonas was saying, it's like, okay, well, I'm in all these projects, they're not paying me anything. You know, I really want to participate in them, but, you know, I'm either going to like burn myself out, or, you know, not make enough money, or just not be able to do it, you know? So how can we come together for that? And I think, you know, if that was helpful for me, because if that's the purpose, then like, then how we get there is just the vehicle for getting there, you know? So it's like, the value bank, you know, a DAO, you know, an agency, skill shares, helping each other, you know, all of these things, you know, to me are the way to achieve that purpose. So then, you know, what I was saying with the vision, like I wrote out, you know, the vision is something like, you know, there's optional, the vision is to see that there's optional models. There's different models for working together and collaborating than what we have. Because I think that right now, the models that we have, you know, like I don't think any of them are good. You know, they're okay, you know, they work in some ways, but I don't really like any of them, you know, because this model is either like, I'm the boss, or I'm an employee of a boss, you know, or, you know, I'm on my own. those are my options. And
About a minute left.
I think they're bad. I just I think they're not bad. I just think it's time for another option. And that's what I think that we can, co-create. The other thing I was visioning, I'm like a place where we can be empowered, right? We come together and we can empower each other, right? Like I want a place where I can become more empowered. It's more empowered to have more time, more space, more ease. But I want that to be a place where the more I'm empowered, the more that's empowering everybody else at the same time. So that's that's what I keep losing the notes here. Some of these. Where are my notes?
That was me. I did that. Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna go shift over to my other. Where's my? I'm losing it. Okay, here we go. So what do I desire, want, to experience as a member? I think I just said it. I want more, like, honestly, I want like more ease, I want more time. I want to like take a day off eventually at some point, and I think, but I don't want to like, also, I'm not, I want to keep working on projects I want to work on and cultivating what I want to cultivate in the world. So what direction, I think that, for me, the direction I want to face is getting some of this down into into like an system, an operating system, so that means, okay, we have our purpose. Okay, now how do we make decisions? How do we collectively make decisions? Let's just, we can figure out a way to do that. How do we work together? For me, the big dream really is like the resource sharing and the resource exchange. Like how do we facilitate that? Because that's the way I think that the culture is so important, as a start. But in the end, I think if there's a way to, there are tools, DAOs and tokenizations, but I think if we can figure out a way, to be able to kind of exchange resources, but that also holds this base culture of I want to help everybody as much as I want to help myself. I think that's game changing. Yeah, is my time up? It looks like my time was paused.
Yeah.
Somebody
That was a great one. That was I love it when you explain it and when you get into that zone where I think you're really channeling it feels like you're bringing something down, for us all, and I really appreciate it.
Jonas, do you have time to give Rob a reflection before you
Yeah,
to move, if that's possible?
I was actually about to jump in
you.
and do that. If human is not.
No, please. Yeah.
Anyway, that's super interesting, and I mean, yeah, I think quite aligned with what I've heard so far and what I'm feeling myself, and yeah, also this empowerment is a good way to put in. I think a lot of what you said basically flows into that, like, in order to empower us, we need to create this system and this like we need to create these value flows, and we need to support each other and things like that. And yeah, so I do super resonate with that. And my question that I had popping up is, yeah, you and others also talked a little bit about dreaming up new things and creating a new system or a new way of doing all this. And I'm wondering whether this is actually also a place where we come together and really work on that, like work on figuring out, okay, how can we actually make this better? I don't even know how to phrase it because it's a difficult problem, but like whether we are figuring out, okay, do we need voting and how do we create this one? Do we need like that sort of deliberation. Do we need to live in communities, and then how do we make that happen? And is that something that we are actively creating, or is that outside of it, and we are mainly supporting each other to find ways somewhere else where we can then help maybe creating these things?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's not something that
Great
you need
question.
to answer. I
That's a
guess.
fantastic question.
Somebody
Yeah.
wrote that down, I hope.
Big question. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a great question. And that's also, the question that it feels like comes in. I'm not going to try and answer it. I'm just going to name another question, that comes in, which is, do we create this, or is there already somebody out there creating it? And do we just jump in with them, or are we creating this thing, and then there might be somebody else doing that, and then we, join our things? That's an interesting question that we carry as well. Yeah.
I'll reflect just a minute on that process, like the way that I came to you. I already had D Studio, but there were things that D Studio needs. It needs a healer layer to take care of the artist and the talent. And so like D Studio can't be everything. Hypha can't be, like nothing can be everything. So for me, it was like when I find a group, another cohort, another co-op, another DAO or organization that is providing the services that's needed to create a holistic reality, then my inclination is to, like, if they're already doing that and they're doing it well, then we merge. We don't like we connect the roots together. We because you have like the trees, and then the roots are interwoven, and then all together, when we can create that interwoven ecosystem of organizations, of DAOs that are small groups that are easy to manage. Like this is 7 people, which is like the max per circle. Once it gets beyond this, then it's like we have to have multiple circles, or it just becomes too unwieldy sometimes to manage. Yeah, I'm done.
Fabulous. Thank you. I just invite everybody to breathe. I notice like my excitement and my tuning into the screen. I'm like, I'm gonna breathe. All right, we're doing awesome. It's my turn to share. Somebody can time for me. That would be really great. I'm gonna copy paste my notes, which it's really fun to see how much we repeat each other by this point in the meeting. The thing I didn't write down, but I really want to write down is days off. I heard that. Does it matter where in the notes I put my notes? Whoever's taking notes, is there a sequence here?
No, I think we'll find it.
You
Okay,
have
I'm
a
going
section
down.
Sia's notes somewhere.
Sia's notes are going to be down under Rob's notes for now.
There you go. I see it.
Although, wait, why is it doing that? Okay. All right, they are under Rob's notes, and anybody's welcome to organize them, whatever. Yeah, new paradigm. I heard a lot of that also. So, new paradigm has been a phrase that's been near and dear to my heart probably since like high school, when I first understood what it meant. Values, collaboration, caring. I'm gonna keep going through this kind of quickly. Mission, crafting. I want the mission, I want it to be equitable, progressive, inclusive. not just the next generation, but the next generation of organizing. Professionally, supporting freelancers and self-employed folks to thrive and provide great services to their clients. I want to see high interpersonal and environmental standards. It's really hard to read my notes. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my notes document, and whoever's skipping around in my notes can keep doing that. All right, I'm going back to my original. Please skip around and do whatever you're doing.
Sorry, I'm stopping now.
Go ahead. I'm in my old document. I can read.
And actually, I forgot to start the timer. I forgot to start. I'm getting a little bit. You know, it's so incredible to hear everyone's thing, and I think that was nice to sort of take a break. But I'll take another little pause here, and then we'll restart. So yeah, that is that. If we edit the notes as we're trying to read from them, they kind of jump around. So we'll sort of try to figure out how to not happen. And then Saya, if you can go from your other notes and we'll start the timer now. That's okay. Or I'll start when you get going again.
We'll work on that problem next meeting.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna use the 4 minutes. I'm just kind of breathing through it.
Yeah.
Or not breathing. So yeah, go ahead. I'll read from my previous document.
All right. We got you.
Thanks. Yeah, high interpersonal and environmental standards. What else I want to say about that is I just think that all the systems that I'm a part of, like my family, I'm part of like a co-parenting system where my ex and I are on good terms, and just taking care of the relationships feels so important to me wherever I am. And I could say a million things about what that means to me, but kindness, you know, being genuine with each other. I didn't write down all the values that I think come along with holding those high standards, and the practices and the ability to make mistakes and make repair. All of that's really important to me, and what I want to experience and learn with. What I want to experience, mission, that was mission. Yeah, I want to add value to my business. I want to increase my income. Definitely on that this year. Speaking of relationships, for most of my adult life, my relationships have taken priority and precedence, and I love that about me. But now I want to make a lot of money also. Both, and not to exclude anything from the whole pie, really. And I want that pie to sort of be so shareable, you know, like how much can I also be giving and sharing? Yeah, a collegial professional group of mutual support and care where colleagues become friends and or vice versa. That's all good. Referral network. That's how I first started to connect. I was like, I think Rob does things that I don't do, but my clients really need. And I think that's probably true for all of you here. And what directions? Abundance, financial and value abundance, generating livelihood. I would like HSC to continue looking in the directions of what's sustainable, personally, organizational, globally, social, econ, environmental. Something that I've been thinking about, most of my time on, is Jonas, I mean, you brought up a little bit this idea of like a working group, like working on these major questions of our time, and Zoe too, actually, and everyone actually. And some of what, you know, we could think about study groups, book groups, we could think about talking about really specifically, like between ourselves, we probably have class diversity, economic diversity. Like, how do we talk about those things? How do we raise our awareness so that our choices are as great as we can make them, that our exchanges are aware of our histories and our place in time and space, our genders, like all these things. So we have a potential, I think, to be an amazing practice ground. I think we are practicing. Yeah. Didn't really write that down so clearly, but I can say that. And then lastly, I started to think about, you know, the now of HSC and then the bigger vision of HSC, which others have already spoken to. And you can read what I wrote. And there's my timer.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I have no idea who's on deck to reflect.
Who's on deck to reflect?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Have you reflected somebody, Basil?
I mean, if nobody, if you don't want
not
to,
a
that's
good
fine.
reflector.
Somebody can do twice. It's cool.
Yeah, Zoe's a good reflector.
Really? I'm so, did you say that? Oh, I'm like so nervous when I reflect. Because I'm just like, that was awesome. I totally agree. You said it better than I said
It
it.
doesn't.
Do you want to try? I mean, I'm happy to reflect.
I'd love to. I'd love to help you reflect. I'd love to help you reflect because one of the things that it's one of those early phrases that somehow got into my consciousness early, and that was new paradigm. Just the idea of a paradigm, that we have paradigms and that they somehow manipulate or influence our behavior, and that we work from paradigms, and that they're sort of invisible, and that we get them in certain ways, and that they can change, you know? So paradigm shift, new paradigm, like these things really, really resonated with me. So when Saya said that, what was the thing that maybe resonated with you, Zoe?
I was just enjoying what you were saying. Give me a second, I'll recall something maybe.
Yeah. The next one that I saw was taking care of relationships. And Saya, you started off with talking about systems, and then you said family and co-parenting, and I'm like, oh yeah, those systems, of course, because they're groups of relationships, and that's really where this mindset can flourish. So then you went into some details of like how that idea can um, become a part of the HSC vision, and looking at HSC as through the lens of relationship. And I think that is definitely part of the new paradigm, because the old paradigm, it seems like they forgot relationships, and that we only had one relationship, and that was buyer and seller. And that's a great relationship, and it's gotten us really, really far. And but there are others, Hey. So that was another sort of point that I saw and was really resonated with. And then generating livelihood. So just to keep, because there was a lot, and I like this, and it's something that we picked up on quite a few other times, is generating livelihood. And that, just even that term livelihood, it's sort of, and just like you expressed, it's just like, yes, I want to take care of relationships. Yes, I want enough money to share and be generous and be abundant, and not have to suffer.
Jonas is leaving. We're rolling
Take it easy, man.
He's left.
And so, yeah. And then to finish up, you talked about the working groups, and that we have with we who are here, enough for study groups and book clubs and those type of things that can support. And maybe what Basil was saying about like that, a type of support that maybe not is available to everyone here. Actually, Jonas just left. Let's talk about him. Hey, Jonas, on the recording if you're there. For programmers, like I used to identify as a programmer or a programmer wannabe. And so like they have, as a group, they have sort of unique things that you might not find 20 years ago, I should say, but you might not find a programmer at an ecstatic dance, for instance, or at a yoga retreat, or somebody that was in that sort of analytical mindset, and that those analytical mindsets possibly in the military, they have a different worldview, they have a different paradigm. And if they were in a place where that paradigm was allowed to shift, and there was some freedom of movement, maybe in a community or in some other way, then I just think like flourishment can happen. And anyway, your talk really brought that up for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, intuitively, I could say that was plenty 1 minute reflection for my share.
That was a great reflection. Thanks, Newman.
My inner timer. Yay. And honestly, the concept of time as like a driver is even like problematic, right? We could really go for that one too, right? But we're being amazing and ambitious today, so we're using time as a structure. It's not the only way to operate. So we did it. We had everybody share and reflect, and we have 1 million notes. And that's only 7 people. I mean, I think there are 25 plus people on the member portal. Like, good thing they didn't all come. I don't know. We would have done something a little different if they had. But yeah, so from here, let's see, it is actually 4:31. And there's a few things we haven't done. So I'm gonna just like put this to the group. Maybe you've already clicked on the Jamboard link. It's a cool thing to see, even if we don't use it today. It's like a collective sticky notes kind of process. And the link is at the top of the meeting notes, or near the top of the meeting for today. And yeah, I'd love for everybody to just see it, even if we don't do it today. So it's a Google thing called Jamboard, and I made us a board. On the first page, it has a space for values. Yep, you can write like that. Someone's writing in it. On the left-hand side, there's a little one that looks like a note. And if you click on it, it's under the big arrow cursor. There's a little one looks like a note. If you do that, you make a new sticky note on the Jamboard. And and so this is a collaborative way of, putting a brainstorm up. And on the first page, I put a section for values, and underneath it, you'll see, is anybody having trouble seeing the Jamboard at all?
Looks like Rob's on it. I'm on it.
Okay, great. All right. And then there's like goals, like measurables that these are places we could say of everything we just talked about and heard. We could start to like throw all our sticky notes in there and see what's emerging. The second page I made for us has like mission, just the word mission. And, I wrote new business paradigm. That could be part of our mission statement. Anyway, I wanted to show that because I think it's a cool little feature that I've only used once before with another group. And we could set ourselves a timer now and throw a bunch of sticky notes in there. It's an option. We could also just open up the floor and be like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think that's the question that
that's what I'm feeling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and just like that's the question I'm asking myself is like, where do we go from? Like we have like so much, of like, there's this amazing these amazing pieces, that we've all shared. Yeah. So then where do we take that?
Right.
And
An
how,
idea I had
what is the
is,
goal for that? So yeah, it's just a question.
yeah. A possibility is that we all sort of reflect on this whole sharing, and we have 2 weeks until the next, what we would call HSC, like collective meeting. Next week will be a Skillshare. And so we could revisit visioning in 2 weeks, and we could all see sort of what emerges individually. We could use that time to play around on the Jamboard as a collective tool. We could have a few people who are really jazzed be a sort of little working group around visioning, and they could take all these notes and all these thoughts and sort of like coalesce, right? Like say, oh, the top 3, 4 things we're seeing for now in HSC are these, and the next bigger vision for down the road is XYZ. This is another possibility. Other thoughts, wishes?
I'd love to do. I mean, I think that the idea is that we can use the time that we've got remaining up until we do want to have like a nice closing. But I'd love to integrate and somehow capture, possibly in the Jamboard, possibly in a discussion, where like while these ideas are still like the burning ember is still a little, still burning, that we somehow document it and that we can sort of like get it into a format. And that might be nice. And I love the idea, and it might be just my tip of my hat, but I love the idea of time blocking out, just a few minutes for us all to sort of think through what we've heard and, jot down ideas. That's what I would propose.
Great. So what I'm hearing is, like what if we were to set ourselves like a timer for 4 or 5 minutes to each sort of digest, make notes, either to ourselves or in the shared platforms that we have.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because at least for me, the looking ahead is how to, like the idea is, I think coming in was like how to take all of this and collate it, and coalesce it into, at least my idea is like to coalesce it into that like group purpose statement, into that group mission statement, into that group, the group values. And then I think that, then that brings like this like very foundational piece, for this foundation for us to then, collectively move from. So, all of that is just to say sort of that's how I've been thinking about it. And I think, I think that's perfect to like use the Jamboard and do, what Cy and Newman were talking about, especially like, I like that, like while the ember is still burning.
Strike while the iron is hot. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
Let's do that. So we're gonna quietly, collaboratively reflect in written form for the next few minutes. Thank you.
Cool. All right, here we go.
I'm just putting something on the second page.
Right.
You know, just to have kind of a place for those big pieces.
Purpose, vision, mission, value, goals, past, measurables. Okay.
Love it. Let's see.
Such a good one, days off. Oh my God. Okay, about 1:30 left.
Thank you.
Dude. Sorry.
Oh, there's a good one. Okay, that was a timer, and we'll wrap up a bit.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Newman. The timer thing is so handy. Yeah. So thanks for trying out the Jamboard, everybody. That was cool. It was really cool to see it all emerge. My brain is feeling like super full right now.
Mhm.
I don't know about anybody else, but like full in a good way, but also like, yeah, it's like time to do like the rest and digest thing soon. Um and what do we want to set an intention to come back to this in 2 weeks? I'm seeing a lot of nodding. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't stop doing the Jamboard. Even though I still-
Once you start, you just can't stop.
Well,
So
I wrote this whole thing and then I hit return, but it didn't save it. So I'm like, it cheated me. of like a minute and a
It was
half. So
it was meant only for you. It's meant only for you. The proposal being to like come back to this discussion in 2 weeks. I don't have an objection, but my like there's no real like I think it'd be cool. I don't really see any pitfall to doing that other than like staying in the introspection and like what is our vision and mission. And then because what's helpful for me like to do this is to know that on the other side of it we have something and we can refer to it and we say, oh, we've done that work, and now it like sets us up to do the work, to do a different phase of the work, like the operational part. Like if we discover that, oh, we want to change the paradigm and we want to do some experiments, then we're like, okay, here's a way that we can change the paradigm of a book club, or we change the paradigm of what Marxism is, or whatever it is that we decide, or how to increase someone's livelihood, or how we do skill shares, like that we are part of like shifting the paradigm. And maybe it's all just about discovering what our paradigms are. For instance, raising awareness. Raising awareness, I think, is a super important thing. And there's so much energy in that. Like once you realize it's like, oh, I've been holding on to all this stuff. And then once that lets go, it can change. So, but my pitfall is let's not stay in governance all the time. Like let's move to operational. And that's what excites me is when we do this, we're like, oh, look, we've got, like people are in agreement and these are things that we can move together, and what an exciting place this is. But if it just stays in that sort of that part of the brain where it's just hitting the potential, like I really do want to like get into like, when the skill shares are doing it, the skill shares, to be honest, are doing it. So.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. I really agree. I would love to see the outcome of like 1 or 2 visioning meetings be like really clear mission statement, for example, right? Like just that definition as our springboard or our reference point, or helping us articulate ourselves to new members, that we would have that reference. And really clear reference too, like that if something comes in that we're like, well, is that in alignment or not in alignment? Like we could refer and say, oh, it's in alignment in these ways or not quite, or, like it's a good, I'm losing my language now, but yeah, great to have that articulation.
And to follow that, the idea that it doesn't, the idea of having a governance season and then having an operational season is that it can change, and it really does change. Like once you put your mission down and you work with it for 2 weeks and you're like, actually, this isn't my mission. It's really off in this direction. Hopefully it's not 180 degrees. Like we're like, oh, we really want to discover Marxism and all that stuff. It's like, actually, hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's like we move in a direction, but it doesn't have to be in just a linear kind of direction. It can move and shift and be alive and vibrant and dynamic. But I think that a lot of have you ever been in this where they're like, I don't know where I want to put the tree because the tree's going to grow forever. And I've been working with people. They're like, I just, I can't make a decision because I have to think of it as just like, and then I work with other people. They're like, just stick the trees wherever and wherever. Like that's wasteful. This stuff. I was like, no. Just I like the idea of getting the feet running. You can't steer a non-moving car or whatever. You need to get things in motion, and then things change. It's the interactive nature of movement. Like you get into it, then you're all of a sudden in a new place. It's like something new comes in. Is this in alignment? If you don't have it written down and you haven't gone through the government process, you don't know, and then you have to do it, and you do it in an ad hoc way. Let's avoid that pitfall. I think that's something that's already been experimented with very well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
agree.
that. And yeah, I like what you said, Sai, like, well, the word that came in that seems like helps me focus is like outcome. You say, oh, okay, this is okay, this is the outcome. Because this is, like this meeting is amazing and everything that's here is amazing. And it's like this is the, like this is what it is, what we talked about today. But then to then think about like what is the outcome from this that we're looking, for. And yeah, and I think it is, like I think what I'm hearing from folks and resonates with me is like to define, not like define it, right? And then of course that's going to change. I mean, my, like yeah, the purpose and mission, I mean, I think eventually you get to a point where it changes less often, you get to a point where it's, oh, well, we haven't changed our, mission statement for 2 years now, wow. But yeah, but I think that the first step is defining it, and I think, I mean, I like everything you're saying, Newman. So it's just kind of a reiteration of that. And Usai is that like, yeah, that like that I like the outcome being having a, that foundation, purpose, mission, vision. Okay, we've defined these things. Now we work from there, governance, I mean, I definitely want to get operational, but it's like, okay, well, we got to figure, like, we have to make decisions as a group anyway. So that means we need some kind of governance, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, these things are a work in progress. And right, there's plenty of governance systems that are just awesome, that are already, have already been kind of introduced to the world, so it's like, it's also great. We don't have to like, invent them from scratch. And then, okay, and structure and how to enroll, and then we can really get operational. And then as we change, as we shift, we know we have very, very clear pieces, that we're shifting. So
Absolutely. And
yeah.
yeah, I just want to also just the word empowerment came up so many times. Like we're all empowered to participate,
Mm.
In the structures that we have, right? We haven't put HSC on pause to vision, right? So what's been happening? Rob no longer does all the tasks. I write emails and send them. Zoe organizes the skill shares. I don't know what other people are doing. Kimberly was going to hop into the YouTube thing, I think. And Newman and I are doing Skillshare. We're meeting every week. And Nyla is helping me brand my business. And so she's going to be putting value into the system. Like I gotta understand better how we're doing that valuing thing, but we're ready, right? We're ready for the next example. And it's happening. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, and when we can take those values and the roles, like, and like make it real and tangible, even though it'll just be like these HSC tokens that are being issued, at least like the contributions are going in. There's like roles, like, so if you're providing like weekly roles, and Rob is providing weekly roles, and anybody that's providing weekly roles, those can be like roles in HSC that get described. Zoe, Rob, and I had a one-on-one like a few weeks ago to sort of start to sort of look at that, but I feel that we're ready to like do that, and then that solves like lots of things here. It gives us the functional DAO. It starts to measure people's values and contributions in a way. It becomes a model for other DAOs to look at, and then part of the process will be us actually going after customers to bring in. So like like business B2B services into this, so that we have fiat money coming into the system. So then people are not just getting paid these tokens that have no value yet, but they're getting the tokens and they're getting like fiat that helps them eat and pay bills. And because I know from a lot of people here, John, pretty much everybody was like, we need money. There's a solution for that. We can put our heads together and then go after that, rather than each of us just trying to survive on our own and like going after clients on our own and holding all that money on our own and not sharing it. We can operate as an agency where the agency is going after clients, and then we're allocating those resources based upon who's assigned to provide website support or social media support or copywriting support or whatever. So we can start to operate like a proper agency made up of these, freelancers, wherein like the freelancers are owners of the agency, not the freelancers are working for the agency. And that's what we're going to prove. The studio has been doing it, and we just need to do, we can do it here too, and really start to prove the point.
Cool.
So we have our cake and we get to eat it too, or whatever that line is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have cake and eat it and feed it to other people.
Yeah, and share it.
And
Make a bigger
gluten-free
cake.
if they want a gluten-free one. Um, so we're wrapping up. And we didn't really do any operations in any business, but I'll just put in a reminder. Next week, we have a social media skill share number 2, led by Zoe. The week after that is an HSC cooperative meeting led by, I'm not sure, possibly Rob. Check out the spreadsheet that's at the top of the meeting notes. Put your name in there if you are ready for leading a Skillshare or a community meeting. Check out the other tab, which is about sending the weekly emails. If you want to jump in and you've got some idea that you want to write an email, so far Rob and I are on that and welcome many voices.
This is
And
great. I hadn't seen the email sending. That's really, really good. This looks like a pretty cool process. It looks like there's like some drafts and to-dos and needed, and that's great. That's great.
fabulous, yeah. And I don't know, can we just like wrap like with a quick round, like each of us really succinctly, like 3 words that are alive for you, like right now. Could be harvest, could be how you're feeling at the moment.
Could
Really
we?
brief.
I
Yeah.
have a question, because I love that idea. Do we? I feel like I'm not sure what we're doing, what our action plan is like from here for the next 2 weeks. Maybe I just wasn't clear, but like, yeah, what are we doing? And then, like, is that like pointing towards, the outcome that we're trying to get? Is
Sure.
other folks
Yeah.
clear on that? Or?
What I heard is I guess both, like it sounds like, wouldn't it be cool if the next meeting of the cooperative in 2 weeks could be a distilling the visioning and some solid time for operations. Maybe it's half. Is that sounding like resonant for people?
Yes, because I would like to get into that, like that documentation. It's just like, okay, we had this sort of reflection, and now let's turn that reflection into sort of a plan or something that we can refer back to, because we could naturally refer back to just the thing, but it's in a potential state. There's a lot of things that can be harvested from there. And it might need a little bit more tending before it's ready to harvest. And that's what I'm expecting in 2 weeks at the next co-op meeting.
Right. Yeah, so I guess it's 3 things. One is, in the next 2 weeks, we can all refer to what we've generated today, and we can individually do some distillation.
Yeah.
It's an option if we have time and inclination. We keep the Jamboard going. It's alive. It's available. And then we come back and we have a time to kind of distill further. Yeah.
And we say distill further. That means like try that part part of that process is also like the defining or the like the
Yeah.
the written kind of like defining is okay.
Yep. Yep.
And then
Great.
there was a third, was then the third piece. Oh,
The
yeah.
third piece is just, I think that we do have some interesting operational things to talk about, and it would be great to be sure that we are able to do that at the next meeting also.
Mhm. Love it.
Cool.
I'll put it in the notes, but I
Great.
jotted that down and put it in the chat.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful for me to be like, oh, okay, now where are we? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my
great. Yeah, I know it's in
goal
the
in the
notes as
world.
like next steps. Like, I don't know if somebody wrote that in there, that'd be great. Um, okay, so we're at time. Do people feel good like doing a quick round of
Yeah.
closure of like, 3 words
Hmm.
each? Close? Okay, cool. Great. Thank you. I'll start. Uh, um, uh, wow, it's harder than I thought. I'm usually good at these. Tired? Good. And inspired. I will pass to Basil.
Okay, tired, optimistic, and um, yeah, tired and optimistic and hopeful. I'll pass to Newman.
You guys have grabbed my words, man. But uh, uh, I'm feeling that it's very authentic. I'm feeling very authentic. I'm feeling uh insightful, like mixed with like expressive. Like that is like that's like, and that feels good. So those are my most 3 words. And expressive and insightful is like a hybrid word. Rob.
Yeah, inspired, definitely. Yeah, kind of like spent.
Yeah, it's a good one.
and,
That's a great word.
and yeah, like joyfully inspired.
Yeah.
I'll pass to Kim.
Okay. More time, more space, more ease, more income.
I like it.
It's like our motto.
Beautiful motto.
Basil?
Oh, I think Zoe is
Zoe,
is the only one who hasn't gone.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What were they? Thankful, because I've already gotten so much from this community. And what's the next one? Oh my God. Curious to see what happens, and kind of letting go of expectations is exciting. And committed. I've gotten so much from y'all. I would like to be able to give back. I hope I can. Yeah, but I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I do feel like literally my whole life has turned around in this past year, and you guys were you were there and you helped a lot. So thank you. Yay. Is that everyone?
Yep.
That's everyone. Yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Feel
Thank
free to
you.
keep, dealing with the notes document if you want to adjust your input on that. You're welcome to do that.
Cool.
And
Perfect.
hopefully see many of you next week.
Yay.
So-
Yeah. And thank you, Saya,
Let's-
for being our amazing facilitator. Thank you. Thank you.
Looking for the
Yeah, that
clap
was great.
hands. There we go. Yeah, those are really, really great.
Awesome.
Big clap.
Bye,
Okay, bye y'all. See you later.
everybody.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.
See you next time.
Uh,
Take care.